Welcome back to the Cricket Draft. Nightwatchman, Game Week 7, Day 4, and it is your final Nightwatchman until we go to the T20 Blast. And we have been robbed of what could have been some really good games of cricket. A weekend that has basically disappointed with rain. We had more rain today, and it's just boring. Like, why can't we just go play cricket somewhere nicer? Why can't we go play cricket in, like, Spain? UAE. I'm sure the members will be very happy with that. They're always very happy when it comes to making changes to English cricket. Starting off with Hampshire versus Nottinghamshire, and there was a real chance that Hampshire could have capitulated and fallen into a heap early on day 4, and we did have a lot of rain in this one, but it's Jake Lehmann's resistance of 102 that sees his side to safety, let's be honest. 168 points he picks up for his sensational century to get Hampshire up to 207 for 6, and when the rain kept coming down, they eventually shook hands. I mean, starting the day 82 for 4, it could have been it could have gone wrong, and they could have been bowled out for 150, and then you're thinking, oh no, they're only going to have to chase down 130 here, do it quickly, and it's all done. But we couldn't quite get a result in this one. In the end, the weather just played too much of a part. How does Colin Ingram still do it? He's 40 now. Another 100 today. Just pencil that in. I feel like he's not that well owned, and he just keeps pumping out runs. Think about this, like going forward, like surely he has to be in with the shout of being in a lot of cricket draft sides. I know that I'm definitely thinking about putting him in my side. 189 points he picks up this week, and Glamorgan managed to hold on. They're bowled out for 259. The Warwickshire 368 to chase down. They probably might have got close, but the weather intervened. There wasn't enough time in the game. Everything else in there. 46 from Alex Davis, but the game was killed off by the weather in this one, which was a real shame because Glamorgan are actually looking pretty good now. Sorry, what has happened this week? I mean, you have been dismantled by Yorkshire this week, and you find yourself 7th. Now, Yorkshire find themselves 8th, but could we see a Surrey relegation? Surely not. No. We're not going to have a London derby next year with Middlesex in Division 2 and Surrey also being in Division 2. That would be sad to see. Wouldn't, as a Middlesex fan. I'd be quite happy to see it, to be honest. Matthew Revis, 2 for 46. He picked up a 3 for in the first innings. 152 points. There hasn't been that many high-scoring players in this game, with the exception of Lyth and Bairstow, and that's basically the difference between the two sides, is those 2 big centuries from the experienced men in the Yorkshire side, and basically what sees them to a victory and some very good bowling. And I mean, that Harry Brook 3 for yesterday just completely shook Surrey. With a bit of help from the rain and some resilient batting, Sussex managed to hold on for a draw. 113 for 7 they end it. They just needed 3 wickets Somerset to see them over, which would have been a really good win. Craig Overton ends with 3 for 14 from 13 overs and 7 maidens. He's had such a good week this week. 414 points he picks up, and Sussex deserved to lose this one. Have been very, very lucky with the weather. Like, they have always been behind the 8 ball. I mean, John Simpson, 14 from 65, 6 from 30 from Charlie Tier. Finn Hudson-Prentice with 5 for 26. Like, real fighting knocks to try and keep them in this game. So they managed to bat out for 57 overs, and to end that 7 down, they did really well against a rampant Somerset side. This might have been the silliest game I've ever seen in my life. Durham, 288 for 9 when Matthew Potts gets out, and you're thinking, okay, they're going to have to follow on here. Like, it's going to be difficult. Like, possibly can Kent produce an unlikely victory? Like, before we had the rain yesterday and the whole covers situation, Kent were looking at an innings win. Well, Ben Raine and Callum Parkinson put on 160 together. I just didn't see this coming. Ben Raine with 106 from number 9. I said in one of the weekly shows that, oh, are you going to put Ben Raine in your side because, like, he's not going to get that much involvement with the batting? 106 scores today. 297 points he's got this week. The ever consistent performer, and they have only played 1 innings each. How has this happened? Callum Parkinson ends up with a half century as well. Kent toiled. I mean, they started really going through the bowling lineup in the end. Zach Crawley gets through 3 overs for 6 runs. Ben Dawkins bowls 2 overs for 9 runs. And after Matt Parkinson got fed up of bowling to his brother until they were eventually out. And then we had to wait for Kent to bat for 9 balls to call it a draw. And they finish it 1 for 1 because Ben Dawkins got out for a 7-ball duck. Caught by rain though, so that's an extra 10 points to all you Ben Rain owners. So well done for that. Probably the game of the day, the result of the day. Northants Gloucestershire was actually a pretty good finish in the end. Louis Kimber saves Northants. A really low scoring game throughout, and Louis Kimber's 66 from 69 was exactly what they needed at the time. They couldn't stop scoring, and he went out, scored quickly, kept his wicket, and they managed to chase it down with just 2 wickets remaining. I mean, what an effort. Louis Kimber ends up with 133 points, and it was exactly what Northants needed. Another win for him. After their demolishing last week, they're finally back on the win trail, and they look really good for it. They sit second in the table. They've put some distance between them and Kent, who are in third at the moment, and it's a result that kind of makes them more likely to get promoted at the end of the season, because it is a real mismatch of, it's really bundled together in that middle of that Division 2, pushing for that second promotion spot. So it's a piece for Gabe Bell, Will Williams and Matt Taylor, and they tried everything they possibly could, but they just could not stop Louis Kimber. Another game that was just plagued by rain. I mean, we lost a whole day in the end, and it was never likely to get a result out of this one. Lancashire declared overnight they didn't want to add any more runs to their overnight total, and Worcestershire went out and batted for 70 overs and just kind of stuck there. Dan Latigan looked good for his 48, and when they were 114 for 5, you were thinking, okay, if they can bowl them out for 160, then all of a sudden we've got a game on. But Brett de Oliveira and Matthew Waite just kind of hold anchor there, 46 and 47 from both of them respectively. Jimmy Anderson once again pick of the bowlers, 2 for 27. I was talking about how Colin Ingram's still doing it at 40. I mean, Jimmy Anderson's still doing it at 43. He scores 119 points this week. Not his best return, but it's still over 100 points. He's just such a good bowler. And then finally to Middlesex, and they needed a miracle. I mean, there was a bit of a fight at the start of day one. They put on another 40 for the last 2 wickets, put 2 wickets in and over, kind of did it for them. Toby Rowland-Jones with 28. Harry Duke ended up 43 not out, as they give Derbyshire 122 runs to chase down. If this would have been 170, 180, then maybe it's slightly different. But Wayne Madsen, the captain, ever so reliable, 31 from 38 not out to go with his ton in the first innings. He scores 252 points this week. 2 wickets for Nav Sharma. They was 2 wickets in and over. Ryan Higgins picked up the other one as he got through a mammoth spell of 14 overs either side of lunch. And Middlesex lose after a really good win away to Lancs last week, and now they lose at home to Derbyshire. Just kind of makes sense for Middlesex as they drop down the table from 2nd to 6th. That's it for Game Week 7 and the Cricket Draft Night Watchman for this block of County Championship games. I hope you did enjoy it. Who's been your favourite player that you've picked so far in the first 7 game weeks? I have to admit, everyone's going to think it's Ryan Higgins. I've really enjoyed Ben Rain being on my side, and when I've managed to get him in, I feel like he's just so consistent at scoring points. Like, I've really enjoyed having Ben Rain. Sonny Baker also picking me up points I've really enjoyed. But remember to like, remember to subscribe, and do comment down below who's your top point scorer this week and who is your favourite player that you've had this week. But I will see you guys soon.